yeah, like kind of roll with it, like
Fine.
even he's cruising in and out of the shot,
Yeah,
like
he's gonna be here the whole time, so. Honestly.
Eventually, normally he does this and then he just lies down and calls it a day.
Okay, maybe we just start.
Yeah, we just start and he can.
He'll like.
I mean, he is my dog, I guess. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're really, really cool.
Oh.
If I see you, can I get a photo?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, thank you. Can you sign my helmet?
Yeah, for sure.
dude, thanks so much first of all for doing this, like in your crazy schedule. Because as I've seen over the last couple of days, it is a bit ridiculous. Yeah, well, we might as well start with that first. What's it been like getting a dog?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, first of all. It's been awesome. It was cool to shoot yesterday and like go through all the trails that I grew up riding and like actually get to shoot it with somebody who's never ridden Whistler before. And that's like, it's a pretty cool thing for me because I've been riding these trails since I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And to be able to come back when, I mean, that's 15, 16 years ago, but to come back and ride with you has been really cool. And yeah, Whistler is, it's a crazy place. A lot of sick stuff going on, but now living in Pemberton, family got a dog. This guy just, big responsibility for me this week because I've got a lot going on with Crankworks and everything. My parents are away, so I've got to just take him everywhere I go. So here he is, looking out the window.
Yeah, he'll cruise in and out of shot. I'm sure we'll be fine.
Yeah.
How's it been, like, now having the mid-season break? Like, is it cool for you to come home? Because I know you spend a lot of time in Europe. And what does your schedule look like now over this, like, Crankworks week?
Yeah, this week is really hectic. I find Crankworks is actually one of the busiest weeks of the year for me because coming home, I mean, I've been in Europe since April, so 3 months on the road, and then coming home, I want to see all my friends, I want to see my parents, I want to spend time with my dog, and I want to go do the things that I want to do that I missed when I was in Europe. But then on top of that with Crankworks, it's like, I have racing, well, maybe not this year, but it would be like racing, I have like whip off, I would have filming and like sort of sponsor events because a lot of the sponsors in Canada want me to be able to do things for Specialized and Red Bull and Oakley and whatever. So I think this week is pretty hectic in that sense, and then on top of it, it's just all the stuff that I want to do. So I find that my schedule fills up really quick, and I actually find that this week is almost more tiring than it would be at a World Cup.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a classic case of saying yes to too many things.
Saying yes to too many things, but also just like, it's never as easy as you expect it to be. You think it's just gonna be like, I can do this and this and this and this, and all of a sudden it's like, this is delayed, that's delayed, this is delayed, and then obviously it's 40 degrees out right now, it's so hot, so then that's just another sort of added thing, and it just becomes a lot, but it's, I find it quite fun because I like to sort of interact with the community, especially within the Canadian cycling community, because I don't really get the chance to do that. And we only have one really, I would say, big race that I do, and that's Mont Saint Anne, and that's already all the way on the other side of the country. So for me, I think this is a really important event just to be here, to be around, and like just be available to whoever I can be.
And I guess all the pressure's on you now because a couple of the other Canadians are injured. So.
Yeah, totally. Definitely for like some sponsor stuff, and it sucks that I'm not going to be racing, but for sponsor stuff, I think I just end up doing a lot of things. But you know, I like being busy, so it keeps my mind busy.
Cool. Yeah. We obviously here in Whistler, BC. Like, I'm from Cape Town, completely other side of the planet. What's it been like? Like, what did you love about growing up here, in BC specifically?
I loved growing up in BC, especially in this area, because it's given me access to everything that I want to do. I've been able to go skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, mountain biking, dirt biking, hiking, running, whatever you want to do. It's all sort of in this area. And growing up in the Sea to Sky has sort of shaped me as a person. And I think that it's allowed me to do all the things that my parents wanted me to do as a kid. And I think I'm really lucky to have grown up here and grown up with really supportive parents that were like, we're gonna put all of our money that we have into you and your brother doing sports so that you can sort of, that's cool, live the way that, you know, we want you to. And that's really worked out for me because I ended up racing my bike and ended up making that my career, which has been really cool. But I think just still living in this area, living 20 minutes away in Pemberton, and still being able to make the most of all of the things that this place has to offer is, I think is a sign of how cool it really is, because I've traveled all around the world, ridden all these different bike parks, you know, spent as much time in Europe as I have, and I still always just want to come home because this place is, to me, is just the best place in the world. And I think that growing up here has sort of, I don't know, it's a really small town, and I've been lucky enough to see the world, but it's really hard to not call someplace like this home, so I can't really see myself ever leaving either.
Well, it's our first time, well, my first time here, and it's pretty hard not to like this place.
Pretty insane, yeah. Even just like the bike park's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, there's the trail riding this side of the valley, that side of the valley, in Squamish and Vancouver and Pemberton. It's like never ending, and in the winter, in the spring, in the fall, we have better conditions than even now just because it's so hot right now, it's so dry, but when it's a little tackier, it's pretty incredible riding.
Sick, we need to come back another time of year.
You do need to come back. I'd say come back in September and you'll have the best, like the fishing's good. Like get out fishing here, you catch these big salmon. Fishing's good, the riding's good. I mean, that's all you really need, but there's a lot of other stuff that this place has to offer other than biking, which is, I think, pretty rare because a lot of places you go, it's like, this is a bike park, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Versus Whistler, I find there's a lot more to do and a lot more to see.
Sick, yeah. Switching gears a little bit onto the sort of riding side. Like yesterday filming, like it was pretty rad to see, like follow you and like watch your scrubs and things. And like I think the boys also noticed like you've got quite a lot of flair when you ride, and maybe people don't see that at World Cups as much because you're so focused on going fast. And did you ever consider going the free ride route?
Yeah, so at World Cups, I find that it's really hard to show that side of my riding because you're so locked into what you're doing, and it's all about going fast, braking right, this is the line. You only get 8 runs, and then for that final run, you have to be fully pinned. So it's hard to be like, I'm gonna have fun and do whips and scrubs and, you know, tables and whatever. So then being able to come home and ride, you know, super well built jumps, like nowhere else really has a bike park that has jumps like this. So yeah, being able to show that side of my riding is really cool. But also like just being outside of the World Cup space allows me to have a little bit more fun with it. I was never gonna be a free rider. I've always really been drawn to like going as fast as I possibly can. But just growing up here, I feel like that's sort of gonna be part of your riding because of just the access to jumps that you do have here.
When we watched some of the shot backs yesterday, like most of the time when the boys catch me doing like a whip or scrub, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then when I was following you yesterday, I was like, ah, you like make me look really bad.
I've got like, I'd say like 15 solid years of practice on these jumps, more than you, so there is that.
You got like something interesting you do as well when you like turn, you kind of like sit up when you do a whip.
Yeah.
You like go down and then you like lean back almost, like you go straight up, where most people are in this like forward position.
Yeah, huh. Like when I take off or when I...
So
like,
as you've turned, then you,
as
like, you like pointing down,
yeah,
then you like, it's almost like you do like
stand
this.
up.
Yeah, that looks rad.
I find it's like, it's not something I did like consciously, but I found when I was whipping this way or this way, when I turned it over, the easiest way to get it back to straight was just to stand up tall and sort of push the bike. So then it like kind of looks like I'm just doing that and the bike will always go straight, because I find a lot of people like send it out, but then like getting it back is the hardest part. So it's like sort of like a fluid movement where you tuck this way and then you just kind of stand up on the bike and it comes straight with you.
Points, notes, guys. So talking about whips, you won the whip off here at 14 on Crabapple, and how much influence do you think that had on your career and where you've gone to now?
Yeah, that was really crazy. Being able to just be able to go in that event, to have the whole Let Fin In campaign happen and to have the community rally behind me, not just the cycling community, but the town itself, and sort of push for me to be able to be in that, and then to win meant so much to me. And I think that really kick-started my career because I gained a lot of followers on Instagram. I got noticed by people that weren't just in Canada. And then at the end of that year, well, after the whip off, I went to Mont Saint Anne to watch my brother race the World Cup. He was racing in junior at the time. And I pre-ran, and the manager of Lapierre, which is still my team manager to this day, 10 years later, was there. I got his email and we went back and forth, and then I signed to the team, and I've been on that team since then. So it's like, it was a crazy like sequence of events where it was like, start of the summer, I was like, I got a couple free parts from SRAM, and I was like, sick, this is dope. And then I got a frame and I was like, whoa, I can't, like, I'm kind of sponsored, you know? And then whip off, went to Mont Saint Anne, and then the next year I was on a pro team at like 15, and like
Oh yeah, that was the year before. You couldn't even race yet, right?
no, I could race like small races and stuff, but I mean, I was really lucky. Like I got a lot of things went right and went my way, like right place, right time. People got behind me when they needed to, and like, or when I needed them to, kind of thing. And that's, you know, I wouldn't be where I am without a lot of things going right, but all the things went right. And now it's, you know, here I am today, and it's the same team with the same people. And I think that I've always sort of been thankful for that moment at the, I guess that was 10 years ago this year, that
Crazy.
moment, because it's allowed me to, you know, be who I am today.
Wild. Yeah, I only started riding like mountain bikes when I was almost 20. So
I started riding mountain bikes when I was 5 years old.
That's insane.
Yeah. It was
In Whistler. In Whistler.
not in Whistler. When my family moved here when I was 10, we
yeah.
started riding Whistler. But we would drive out from Alberta, and we'd ride for like 3 weeks a summer kind of thing. Yeah.
So sick. I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, but it will be good to hear your take. So one of the most memorable races was years ago. Val d'Isole was my best result, and I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say. But for you, what's your most the best day of your career, basically?
I would say I have 2 days that are the best days of my career. So I would say the first one was Val d'Isole when I won Junior World Championships in 2016. That one meant a lot to me. And then Mont Saint Anne 2022, my first World Cup win in Canada, the first win by a Canadian since Stevie Smith, and first male winner since Stevie Smith. And that day meant so much to me. My parents were there, a lot of my friends were there, and everything from that season. I dealt with a concussion earlier in the season. I missed a race. I came back, and I was just like building, and I was like, I'm right there. I can touch this, and for it all to come together in Mont Saint Anne, it was ridiculous. And even dropping last and to like cross the line and be like, I won, was like this like I've never felt such like a pure feeling through my whole body. Like I can't even tell you what happened. It was like I blacked out. I was just like, I watched the videos and I'm like, I scream when I like throw my bike, and I was like, I have never made that sound ever in my life, and I don't think I ever will unless I win another World Cup. So that moment was really special, and to be able to share it with my mom and my dad and the Canadian fans and everything was so crazy.
Yeah, that was really cool to watch. Like, and deal with that pressure and qualify first and come down last, like in your home country.
I was especially.
It kind of reminds me of like Greg back in the day when he won in Peter Marisburg. It's kind of like similar scenario.
It's something. There's something different about winning, I think, in your home country, and like the Frenchies show that every year when they win in Léger. I think there's like, you feel the support from the crowd, from the people, because they believe, and you're like, I believe I can do it. So it's cool to have that, and I think like Greg winning, I guess he was world champion in Peter Marisburg, like being world champion in Canada would be the dream. Yeah.
Yeah, sick, man. So recently had Val d'Isole, which was wet and probably the gnarliest track of the year. And I remember I rode it 2018 when it was wet, and it was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you actually are one of the few riders that like those conditions. So for you, what has been the most difficult track that you've raced over the years, if you can remember one, where you were like, man, this is gnarly?
Val d'Isole this year was really hard. I think that riding that in the wet was difficult. I just had a good state of mind coming into that week. I was like, I love the wet. Everybody else is gonna struggle, and I'm gonna be a boss. I'm gonna ride it so well. And I had a super good week. And then in the race run, I like just missed it. So I was a little frustrated with myself because I felt like I had more to give, and I didn't do it when I needed to. I think the only other rider, or one of the only other riders that was like fired up riding in the wet, was Amory. And I think that showed as well by him, how well he rode. There was a year at Crankworks in 2016 or 2017 in Léger, and it was the old course where it was like these crazy ski, like gigantic like super G turns in the grass, like almost the whole track. And it rained like I've never seen before at a race, and the mud was like, I want to say axle deep everywhere. It was like this deep everywhere, and you'd like get to the bottom. Your bike weighed 5 kilos more. Your kit was totally stuck with mud. Like I was wearing roll-offs, and like basically you do two pulls, goggles were ruined. And so I think that was like the hardest race. If you did it in the dry, the run would be like 250, and we were racing and it was like 4.5 minutes or 4:15 or something. Like really long, and the mud was horrendous. Like it was so sticky and
Crazy, I didn't even know that.
yeah, that was one of the harder races. I think as a World Cup, Val di Sole was really difficult this year. Val di Sole was really difficult last year.
Val di Sole's always really difficult.
It's really hard. Yeah, I think Val di Sole's got to be probably one of the hardest tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. Any given year, Val di Sole can sort of provide something that you're like, we have to ride this and race it. That's just, you know, sometimes a little frustrating. But it's been, yeah. I can't think of a year where something was like, this is stupid, this is too hard, this is too whatever. Actually, Andorra, like 2 years ago, was really dangerous because of the way they built some of the things, but that wasn't like specifically hard, it was just really sketchy.
Yeah.
And then they fixed it for last year, which was cool. I'd say Val di Sole this year was really difficult. But we haven't had a World Cup where it's been like 6 minutes long riding in the mud.
Yeah.
And Fort William's the hardest track, but if it rains, it doesn't really matter. It's just cold.
Obviously, the sport's changed a lot in the last few years. And some people like it, some people don't like it. What's, you know, with the whole format, semis, finals, you know, what's your take? You know, how do you like it with the whole organization and everything now? Are you for it or against it?
I think every sport, as it goes through a change, is going to have growing pains. And I think like the switch from Red Bull, which everybody knew and the broadcast was free and you knew exactly where to get it, going from 8 years of that where they built it into this thing where it's like, you know exactly where it's coming from, you know exactly what they're going to do, the race is going to be running the same way, to have the first year with the new broadcast company be like, we're adding this race and this, and like we're doing semis and we're doing a new broadcast and it costs money. I think a lot of people were really frustrated because they were like, we don't even know what we're watching anymore.
Yeah.
But I think at the beginning of Red Bull, people used to be like, bring back Freecaster TV. Like we liked when Rob and Pagey or Rob and Cunny were wasted in the booth. But if you go back and watch the Freecaster days, it's like, it's cool and it's like quite fun to watch, but it's nowhere near what it was when Red Bull took over. And even you watch now with the Warner Bros. Discovery stuff, you see the second year in, the broadcast quality is incredible. And this year they've done a little bit of a change up with the announcers, and I think it's been really good. And honestly, I'm not for or against semis. I find that it is what it is and we're gonna have to do it no matter what. And I think that a lot of people had such a negative mindset about it that it like sort of projected out into the, you know, people who watched the race, and then they were like, we hate it too because this person hates it, and you're like, well, I think that's not a majority of riders, and I think a lot of people spoke out like it was a majority of riders, and I think there was a few people that had a bigger voice than they should have in certain ways. But I think that taking over something like that in the first year is really difficult, and there's going to be growing pains, and so far it's gotten better and gotten better and gotten better. And I hope next year, I think they're getting rid of semis. There's going to be some new venues. They're going to make some changes. It's going to be really good going forward. I think the biggest thing that's hard is me being Canadian, knowing how much money it costs to watch in Canada and how hard, not how hard it is. It's not that difficult, but like how much it costs, and then getting this streaming service is quite expensive. So I think that's a little frustrating. But if you're European and you have Eurosport, it's brilliant. Like when I was in Europe, I'd watch the replays and I'd just be like, oh, I have Eurosport, and click it and it's right there. Yeah. So I think that going forward, it's gonna be better for the sport, because I think with Red Bull, although they did a fantastic job, I think out of sport sponsors would have struggled to sponsor the sport when the big broadcasting company is Red Bull, because then it means that brand would like align with Red Bull, versus like now you're just actually aligning with like you're just sponsoring an event that's run by a media company rather than an energy drink company, which maybe is good for the growth of the sport. I'm not a business person, I'm not a business mind, but to me that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Prize money. Like, I think personally, I think it's ridiculous. Like that people win like €3,500 for winning a World Cup. Yeah. What do you think about it? And also, what do you think would be fair? Like, ideally, you know, I mean, if you look at other sports, football and tennis and stuff, it's like, it's...
Yeah, for sure. I think prize money is probably the biggest hang up for me, because I do know how much I don't know how much, but like it does cost a lot of money for these like resorts to host the events. But the problem is, kind of goes back to like, we don't have any outside sponsors. So we don't have like a juice company or like a car company or like a supermarket or like whatever, you know, like I think our closest sort of a sport we can look at is alpine skiing, because they run a similar setup. They have all these sponsors that are sort of outside of the sport, and I think put a lot of money into advertising. And then that way the organization can go, okay, they paid all this money in advertising, and then we can pay these athletes what they deserve. So if you win a ski World Cup, you get 50,000 Swiss francs compared to 3,500, which is it is ridiculous and it sucks. And I think like the money doesn't come from nowhere, which is the problem, because you could like look at it and be like, how come the organization doesn't pay us that much money? But then it's like, how many people would have to ride for the event to be like, all right, here's 50,000 euros for the winner of the men's, 50,000 euros for the winner of the women's, and then 20 for second. And you know, it's like $100,000 per category in prize money. And then it's like, these resorts aren't, I don't know if biking is quite there size-wise, so you need the non-endemic sponsors to bring that advertising money to pay the people. I think a fair amount would be, you know, ideal, like going from 3,500, I'd say 20,000. But if you look at skiing, it's 50. I mean, mountain biking is not as big as skiing, but like, even if it was 30, it would be really cool. If you win a World Cup, you get 30,000 euros or francs or whatever it would be. Would be really nice.
I mean, if you look at the budgets and how professional the sport is now, I just feel like
it's coming. I think it's coming, and I think it's in the next 5, 6, 10 years, you're gonna see a huge jump in that. But as it is now, it's a bit embarrassing. And I think like coming from my side, you know, I'd like to win a World Cup and be like, that's a dope, that's a good bonus just from the organization, and then whatever the sponsors would pay me is another thing. But it's I think it's coming. It's just hard, you know, like I said, it's a lot of money to like just pull out of thin air.
It's funny because like when you talk to people that are not in the sport and don't know the sport, and like my fiance, for example, the first time she ever came to watch it, she was like, holy, this is crazy. Like there must be massive prize money. And then I'm like, nope. And then she's like, but why do people do it? Like, you know, it is wild with the risk people are taking now.
It is crazy that's, I mean, I do have to say, like, from sponsors, like the bonus and prize money is really good, but because everybody's fishing in the same small pond, there's not that much money to go around in terms of like, here's a bonus, here's a bonus. Like, I think 10 guys make a lot of money, and then from there down, it like really trickles, as it is in every sport. But I think we can't compare ourselves to tennis and soccer and hockey or whatever, just because we don't have the numbers. But alpine skiing or like motocross is sort of like, we're a baby version of that, because I mean the sport's only 25, 30 years old. I think that over time here, it's gonna start getting better for us. And I think the prize money has to come in at some point. And I think people, like you said, your fiance came to a race and said, this is insane. Like the more people see it, if you see it live, you can't understand how, like why it's not the most popular thing in the world, because just watching an event, you're like, it is so exciting every time. Every time it's so exciting. And I think more and more that's gonna pick up and pick up and pick up, and then people are gonna, you know, there's gonna be more money coming into the sport.
Let's hope over the next few years.
I'm positive. I can't think negatively about it, because I would, I'm still young, you know, like I'm 24, I got, I'd say like 10, 11, 12 years left in my career. I'd like at some point in there to be able to get a
decent paycheck from a race.
From a race, you know, like I'm not complaining about how much I get paid as a rider from sponsors, because like I get paid to ride my bike all the way like around the world, and I make a good living doing that. But you know, you only have so many years and so much risk you can take before you're like, okay, what do I do after this? I'd rather be able to go, I don't have to do anything after this, you know.
Changing up a little bit, what's one thing people don't know about you?
I feel like I've said it enough, but I'm like I'm a good skier, but that's not really that exciting. I want to be a farmer.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't want to be a farmer, but if I was like, Finn, pick a career right now, I'd probably buy a farm, be a farmer.
Wow, okay, I was not expecting that.
I don't know, that's something I was thinking about, because where I live is just a farm town, and like, I love going out. We have a bunch of trees in the orchard, and we have bushes, like fruit bushes and everything, and I love going out and, you know, tending to that and taking all the fruits in. I don't know if I can do it year round. Maybe I need to take that back.
That is going to be the YouTube thumbnail.
Iles,
it's going to be
farmer question mark?
He wants to be a farmer. That's cool. That's
I don't
cool.
know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if there's anything that exciting. I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve a little bit. I just say things, so I don't, not many secrets.
And up till now, obviously, you're still relatively young. Like, would there be anything up till this point that you would have changed, that you would have done maybe differently in your career?
Yeah, I think that everything happens for a reason, and I went through a big change and a big growth between like the ages of 19 and 21, 22, as you do in life. But I think I would have come out of juniors with a little bit of a better head on my shoulders, a little bit less of like, I'm the man, sort of a lot of attitude, too much arrogance, thinking that I can just win races and I could do what I want, just win. I think I got a little bit lost in like trying to be something I wasn't at the time, and I just needed to focus on riding my bike. So I think I would have changed my mindset, my attitude, but I think that I had a lot of disappointment at the start of my racing career, and I think that I wouldn't change that for anything, but if there was something I would have changed, it was coming in with a little bit more of a humble attitude and like a little bit more of like these people are better than me right now, but I can work my way to figure that out. And it took me like 2 years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And I would have rather learned that lesson a little faster, but it's helped me become the racer that I am and the person that I am. So I wouldn't change it, but that's definitely something that I would like to have done a little better, because I was, I wasn't a bad person by any means, but I just think I was a little bit arrogant and a little bit cocky.
Well, I guess that's expected when you come up, when you're winning races, then yeah. I mean, you need a bit of it.
Yeah, and like as you do in racing, it's like everybody's got ego and everybody's got like not a chip on their shoulder, but like I'm a better than you kind of attitude towards other racers. But I think the most important thing is how you apply that to your racing. So it's not, I don't walk around every day thinking I'm the best mountain biker in the world, I'm that guy, whatever. It's only when I ride my bike. And I think that attitude on the bike is really important, but off the bike being, humble and being kind and like just being more of a caring person is really important, versus just trying to carry that with you all the time because you think it's like the thing you need to have, because racing life is not the same as regular life.
Yeah.
I'd say. It's a bit of a split personality in terms of like when I'm on the bike, I was like, I could believe anything I tell myself. I could be like, I am the best rider in the world. I'm better than everybody. I'd be in the start, I'd be like, hell yeah, I am. Like, I can't wait, like I can't wait to go. But as soon as I'm at the bottom, it's like all that kind of goes away, because you don't need that all the time. You don't need to carry yourself in a way that, it can be too much, I'd say.
What's the craziest World Cup after party story that you have? I'm sure there must have been a few.
Yeah. Oof, yeah. All my crazy after party stories happen in Val d'Isole, actually, I would say.
Mountain bikers can get a bit wild.
We can get a bit wild. When I won Junior World Champs, I drank myself under the table in front of my parents and then vomited in a trash can for about an hour while they held me, and they'd be like, what? Like, I was 17, so like in Canada you can't drink till you're 19, but in Italy I don't think it matters. So 17, I was just hammering drinks, and then vomiting. And every time I vomit, my parents would be like, Finn, like, get a hold of yourself. I was like, I'm the fucking world champion. Like, so wasted. That's not crazy, but that's pretty funny. I don't remember any of it, but my dad said it was just insane. I don't really get too out of hand. I haven't like been in any fights really. I don't get too crazy. I just get way too drunk and then I have to take myself home. I think I've been punched. I tried to break up a fight in Val d'Isole a couple years ago and I got punched in the face twice by another rider. Accidental. It wasn't on purpose, but there was a fight between, I won't say any names, but like a rider and somebody that works in the industry. And I was like, I know both of them. I was like, you guys aren't gonna fight. And then somebody came over and just like swung and he hit me right in the face, and then he hit me again, and I was just like, what are you doing, man? And he's like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And like, that's like, there was no harm because nobody fought. I just got hit in the face, but it wasn't that bad.
Took one for the team.
Took one for the team. I think if the other guy would have been hit, it would have been a bad night for everybody. But yeah, I feel like it's not as crazy as the old days. Like, you hear stories from like Greg and Cedric and Petey, and you're like, what did you do? And I think now it's a little more tame, because a lot of the parties you end up with like a lot of people from the crowd, and you can't not you can't, but people are a little more in control of what they're doing. There's
Yeah.
no like breaking of windows and fights at the pool table, and you know, it's a little more tame than it used to be.
Yeah, it's
Especially
definitely,
with phones and everything. I think everybody's like,
Yeah, people
if
go-
you get a video of yourself, it's a small sport, doing something really stupid. Bad news bears.
I remember, bad news bears. I remember a few years, 2014 must have been, in France. I just remember these two riders carrying a couch down the street, like out of one of the clubs.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, it's just like, take mountain bikers somewhere, they'll find a way.
They'll find a way, especially this week in Whistler. They will find a way. Whistler's a little crazy.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good. It's good shit.
Last question. You kind of touched on it already, so, but what does life look like for you after racing? Besides being on your farm?
Yeah. I have no idea what life looks like for me after racing. I did 2 years of uni in my early years of racing, and I did economics, and economics is boring. So I will not be going into economics, but I might go back to uni, and we'll see how old I am when I retire. Try and get some sort of education in something. Like I like learning things. I just don't know how applicable it would be for me. Like after racing, I feel like there's a lot of avenues I could go down because I still have lots of years left, and it's hard to think about something 12 years, 10 years, whatever down the road. But I would like to be living here. I would like to be, you know, I'm never not going to be riding my bike, never not being outside, skiing, doing the things I love to do. So if I can make that happen in any way, I will. And it's just a matter of like how. And I think that hopefully as mountain biking grows, there's more reach and there's more availability for us to get into other sort of aspects of the sport or aspects of like business through the sport, and there's more money within it. So then it's not like an end all be all where it's like I finished racing and go, cool, I'm broke. Or like I'm able to sort of live the way that I want to until I can figure out what I want to do, because there's no way I'm going to be, let's say 35 is a retirement age for a mountain biker. From 35 till I die, there's no way I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of finding out what makes me happy and keeps me loving life. So we'll figure out when we get there, but I can bet that I would either be here or, you know, somewhere around here doing what I like to do.
Sick, man. You need to come visit Cape Town.
I do need to visit South Africa. I've never been. I can't believe I've never been. It seems like such a sick place for riding and cool place to visit. And I want to do the Cape Epic one year.
What?
Yeah, I would love to do that. I almost signed up last year, but then my coach said if I did it, I would be in this huge like hole basically, fitness wise, where your body just like takes on way too much and your fitness take goes like this, and then eventually it comes back and you're like, I'm a god. But it takes a long time, and for someone like me, I don't know how long that would actually take. So if I messed up the timing, I could go to the first World Cup and be like, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I have no energy, like I have no snap, I have no jump, no focus. So I think like really important for the timing of that. So if it was in like October, I would go, but it's in March and the first World Cup's normally April, May. So timing's a bit tough. But
Crazy. Okay, I would not have expected that.
I'm a big-
8 days in the saddle. That is
Yeah.
a long time.
I'm a big fan of endurance stuff. I like pushing myself to like the limit of what I can do, because then it's like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, I can do that. So it's like a cool, I don't know, I find that quite cool.
Sick. Dude, thanks so much
Thank
for the last for riding and this whole thing. It's been a blast,
Yeah,
and
thanks, man.
had a
It's
lot
been
of fun.
sick.
Been cool to get to know you a bit better, and yeah, we've all had a great time. So
Been super dope. Cool to actually get out and ride and film and hang out. It's been perfect weather, perfect place to do it.
sick.
Yeah, man.